topic number 4, and it's our final topic tonight before we ask our audience to participate, and it concerns the role of the office of mayor in the city of Scottsdale. I believe that we've heard a couple of comments on this. One view is that the mayor's role is one of leadership of the city and its government and its inhabitants. Others think it's one vote on a panel of 7 voters on specific ordinances or resolutions. There may be other visions of what the role of the mayor is, but we'd like to hear yours. So please, if you will, Mr. Washington, your initial 2-minute opening statement on this.
Technically, the mayor is one vote. There's no question about that. But I think you have to, if you want to get done as mayor, you have to exercise some leadership to convince your fellow council members to go along with you and vote with you and show them the value of what it is that you want to accomplish. The mayor, in a more general sense, sets the tone. Literally and figuratively, the tone of the discussions of the city council. The mayor literally and figuratively sets the agenda for the council meetings, and that's a very important power. We've had some changes to our charter recently that actually afford the mayor a little bit more power in that respect, and so that's an important thing to note. If you have the power to put things on the agenda and keep them off the agenda, that's a very important thing. But I think as regards public safety, I'll just go back and reiterate that I think one of the most important things that the mayor and the council, with the mayor's leadership, can do is hire our charter officers, of which the city manager is one, the folks that do the day-to-day administration of the city, and you want someone in there who will show to all of our city employees, including our public safety employees, the level of respect that they're due, and that they will exercise due diligence in administering their responsibilities to manage the day-to-day activities of all city departments, including public safety.
When I first got into this race, I went down to the Performing Arts Center where the mayor was conducting his State of the City address. It was about 1 hour long. I don't know if you all know it, but you paid $400 to rent a teleprompter for the mayor that night. And what shocked me when I left after 1 hour, not one word about public safety or emergency preparedness or crime in 1 hour State of the City. That is not leadership, and that is not what the job of the mayor is all about. The mayor, as I mentioned, has a special role in the city charter to be the leader in case of an emergency in this city, and that is a critical role. The mayor hires with the city council these chartered officers, including the city manager, and should be very closely involved in making sure that we have the best leadership in the fire and police department, and is setting that strategy, setting that vision, supervising, and rewarding the great work that our public safety officers are doing. I believe it's critical that we have a mayor who understands that, who understands that public safety is #1 and most important, and is supporting the people who are on the front lines doing the job every day, putting their lives at risk.
I couldn't agree more. However, on the emergency preparedness issue, we have some folks employed to look after that for us. My impression is that they've done a pretty good job at that, and I don't think we need to micromanage that function. It is important, and I do appreciate and respect that perspective, that it's important. But having said that, I think the best thing that the mayor can do in terms of his responsibility in that area is to enforce the policies, and that is the charge of the council and mayor, enforce the policies, not necessarily the administration of that function. And again, I just go back to the fact that you have to select good administrators and then give them the policy and say go do it and make sure that it's done. You've got to follow through and make sure that it's done.
Give us your views on what leadership role a mayor should take in seeing that the adequacy or desirability of either operating funds or bonding funds for some of these facilities would be. Please.
Days ago about Stockton, California, that's about to declare bankruptcy. I believe they actually have less, they're a smaller city, but they actually have less debt than we do here in Scottsdale. We've got about $1.3 billion in debt from all our different bond issues. and are servicing about $75 million a year in interest on those. In my opinion, the main issue is because we have an attitude that everything that we build from a public perspective has to be the Taj Mahal. You look at the new facility up in Westworld, which was originally proposed to be $13 million to help out the equestrian community, became $30 million, and then 2 or 3 weeks before it was supposed to be approved and buy the steel, all of a sudden $10 million were added for the Barrett-Jackson Car Show, and it became a $40 million project, which now our city treasurer says will cost between $2 to $5 million in deficit every year for the city. We don't know how to pay for it. We didn't have a marketing plan. That's the kind of lack of leadership and planning that is causing the issues and why we can't provide the resources we need for our public safety officials, because we're constantly creating these Taj Mahal buildings that do not address the basic needs of the city, and that's a key concern. So we've got to get our borrowing under control. We've got to get our spending under control and take a look at the budget from top to bottom and figure out what is the core function of local government. A lot of the things that the city's doing right now, even in the toughest times, we've got 15–20% of our neighbors are out of work if you look at the real numbers, and yet we're still spending like it's 1999, and that's not appropriate.
One of the really interesting things to me about campaigning is that there are times when it becomes a bit of an out-of-body experience, and you hear, and I'm going to respectfully and friendly jab Mr. Bernhardt here, you hear your words coming from someone else. I'm very gratified, and I do have great respect. He's obviously a bright fellow, and he gets it, and I think a lot of the folks on our city council don't get it. I was there the night the budget was discussed. I was there the night the budget was adopted. There was a graphic on the screen that should put 2 numbers up there for the money we're going to spend and the revenue we expect to bring in. And there was no line drawn underneath those 2 numbers. There was no minus sign put beside them. But anybody that was paying attention could see very clearly that there was going to be an $8 million deficit this year. $8 million deficit. $1.3 million debt, $78 million debt service, and we're going to make that worse with an $8 million deficit. And by the way, we're going to issue bonds to pay for Phil Mickelson's golf clubhouse.